Jinho sat in the back corner of the lecture hall, his notebook open and his pen moving steadily across the page. Around him, the classroom buzzed with noise. Students from 47 different species filled the seats, their voices creating a strange mixture of sounds. Some chirped, others rumbled, and a few spoke in frequencies that made the air vibrate. The Galactic Academy was the most important school in the known universe. It floated in orbit around a neutral moon, far from any homeworld. The building itself was a wonder of technology. Each section had different gravity, different air, and different temperatures to make every species comfortable. It was a place where the best and brightest came to learn. Jinho was human. He was 19 years old and had come from Earth as part of an exchange program. Earth was new to the galactic community. Most species had been part of the galaxy for thousands of years. Humans had only joined 5 years ago. This made Jinho something of a curiosity, but not an interesting one. He was quiet. He kept to himself. He studied hard and spoke only when called upon. His clothes were simple, his face was unremarkable, and he never drew attention. To the other students, he was practically invisible. "Are you taking notes on everything?" a voice asked. Jinho looked up. Hana stood beside his desk. She was another human student, one of only 5 at the entire academy. Unlike Jinho, Hana was outgoing and friendly. She made friends easily and seemed to know everyone. "Just the important parts," Jinho said quietly. "That's what recording devices are for," Hana said with a smile. She held up her wrist where a small device blinked. "You know you're allowed to use technology, right?" "I remember better when I write it down," Jinho replied. Hana shook her head, but she was still smiling. "A few of us are getting together tonight to study for the xenobiology exam. Want to join?" "I'm okay. Thank you, though." "You always say that," Hana said. "You should hang out with people sometimes. It might be fun." Before Jinho could respond, the lights in the room dimmed. A figure walked to the front of the class. She was tall, with 6 arms and skin that shimmered like oil on water. This was Instructor Veltara, one of the most respected teachers at the academy. She was from the Altharian species, known for their intelligence and their blunt honesty. "Settle down," Veltara said. Her voice was sharp and cut through the noise instantly. The room fell silent. "I have an announcement that concerns all of you." Every student leaned forward. Announcements from Veltara were never trivial. "As you know, this is your final year at the academy. Before you can graduate, you must complete the Death World Survival Practicum." A ripple of nervous energy passed through the room. Jinho's pen stopped moving. Death worlds. Every species knew what those were. They were planets rated 8 or higher on the galactic lethality scale. Places where the environment itself was hostile to life. Extreme gravity, poisonous atmospheres, deadly predators, violent weather. Most intelligent species came from safer worlds, places rated 3 or 4 at most. Going to a death world was dangerous, very dangerous. "You will be divided into teams of 3, Veltara continued. "Each team will be assigned randomly. You will not choose your partners. You will be dropped onto a death world and must survive for 10 standard days." One student raised a clawed hand. "What if we fail?" "Then you do not graduate," Veltara said simply. "And depending on how badly you fail, you may not survive." The room erupted into worried chatter. Students turned to their friends, already trying to figure out who they hoped to be paired with. The strong species, the ones with natural weapons or armor, suddenly looked very popular. Jinho sat quietly and thought about his grandfather's farm in the mountains of Korea. He thought about the winters when the snow piled higher than the doorway. He thought about the summers when the heat made the air shimmer and water was scarce. He thought about the time he got lost in the forest for 2 days when he was 12. His grandfather had found him eventually. The old man hadn't been angry. He just nodded and said, "You survived. That's what matters, Jinho." Hana had moved closer, her face worried. "Are you okay? You look calm." "I'm fine," he said. "Everyone else is freaking out," Hana said. She glanced around the room. "Death worlds are no joke. People die on these tests sometimes." "I know. And you're not worried?" Jinho looked at her. His face showed nothing. "Worrying doesn't help." Hana stared at him for a moment, then shook her head. "You're so weird sometimes, but I guess that's why I like you." She squeezed his shoulder. "Let's both make it through this, okay?" "Okay," Jinho said. The next day, the assignments were posted. Students crowded around the holographic display in the main hall, searching for their names. Jinho waited until the crowd thinned before checking. His team. Talon and Mira Talon was from a predatory bird species. He was tall with sharp talons and sharper eyes. He was popular, confident, and had made it clear many times that he thought humans were weak. Mira was from an aquatic species, intelligent and cautious. She rarely spoke to anyone outside her own kind. Jinho found them near the display. Talon was scowling. "This is a disaster," Talon said when he saw Jinho. "I'm paired with a water breather and a human. We're dead before we even land." "Hello to you too," Jinho said. "Don't take it personally," Talon snapped. "It's just facts. Your species has no natural weapons, no armor, no enhanced senses. You're fragile." Mira's translation device made a bubbling sound. Her species couldn't speak in air, so the device converted her language to galactic standard. "Where are we assigned?" Jinho checked his datapad. Carvex Prime. Talon's feathers ruffled. Even Mira's color changed slightly, a sign of stress in her species. "Carvex Prime?" Talon repeated. "That's rated 9.2. That's almost as bad as it gets. What's wrong with it?" Jinho asked. "What's not wrong with it?" Talon shot back. "The gravity shifts randomly. The rain is acidic. There are predators that can tear through titanium. The temperature swings from boiling to freezing in hours." He glared at Jinho. "And you're asking what's wrong with it?" "We're doomed." Jinho said nothing. He just looked at the mission details on his pad. 10 days, basic supplies only. Emergency beacon if things became truly life-threatening. But using it meant automatic failure. Mira's device bubbled again. "We have 2 days to prepare. I need to requisition breathing apparatus and pressure suit modifications." "I need high-altitude gear," Talon said. "And weapons." "Lots of weapons." They both looked at Jinho. "What do you need?" Talon asked, his tone making it clear he expected a long list. Jinho thought for a moment. "A knife. A water container. Fire starter?" "That's it," Talon laughed. It was not a kind sound. "A knife? That's your plan? You really are going to die." "Maybe," Jinho said. "We'll see." He walked away, leaving his teammates staring after him. Hana caught up with him in the hallway. "I heard you got Carvex Prime," she said. "That's rough. I got a 6.8 world. Still dangerous, but not as bad." "You'll be fine," Jinho said. "I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about you." She grabbed his arm, stopping him. "Jinho, seriously. Talon's right about one thing. Humans aren't built for this. We don't have claws or armor or any of that stuff." "How are you so calm?" Jinho looked at her. For the first time, something flickered in his eyes. "Not worry, not fear. Something else, Hana," he said quietly. "Where do you think I come from?" "Earth, obviously. And what do you know about Earth?" She shrugged. "It's our homeworld. Nice planet. Decent climate. Pretty normal, I guess." Jinho smiled slightly. It was a small, strange smile. "Right, normal." He started walking again, leaving Hana confused in the hallway. She didn't know. None of them knew. The galaxy had classified Earth as a 10 on the lethality scale, but that information was restricted. The Galactic Council didn't want to cause panic. They didn't want other species to know that they'd just accepted a species from one of the most dangerous planets ever discovered. Jinho knew, though. He'd always known. He'd grown up in those mountains, survived those winters, learned from his grandfather who had learned from his grandfather before him. Earth wasn't normal. Earth was a nightmare, and he was going home. The drop pod shook violently as they entered Carvex Prime's atmosphere. Inside his pod, Jinho sat strapped in, watching the temperature gauge climb higher and higher. The metal around him groaned under the stress. Red warning lights flashed across every surface. The communication system crackled. "All teams, this is Control. Atmospheric interference is stronger than predicted. Your pods will be separated. Make your way to the designated rendezvous point. Good luck." Through the small window, Jinho could see the other pods scattering like seeds in the wind. The planet below looked angry. Dark clouds swirled across a landscape of red and black. Lightning danced between the clouds, each bolt bright enough to hurt his eyes. The pod hit something. Jinho's head snapped forward, held by the straps. Alarms screamed. The automated voice repeated the same message over and over. Critical damage. Trajectory compromised. Brace for impact, Jinho braced. The landing was violent. The pod hit the ground, bounced, hit again, then tumbled down what felt like a slope. Metal scraped against rock. Glass shattered. Then everything stopped. For a moment, Jinho sat in silence. He breathed slowly, checking his body for injuries. His shoulder hurt where the strap had dug in. His head throbbed, but nothing was broken. He released the straps and pushed the emergency release. The door hissed and fell away. Heat hit him like a physical force. The air shimmered and danced. Jinho stepped out onto black rock that glowed with internal heat. He was on the side of a volcanic ridge. Below him, rivers of lava flowed lazily between rocks. Above him, the sky was the color of rust, choked with ash. His communication device crackled. Jinho respond! It was Talon's voice, high with panic. I'm here, Jinho said. Oh, thank the stars. Are you injured? Where did you land? Jinho looked around. Volcanic region, high heat. Unstable ground, you? I'm in some kind of forest. Everything here has thorns. Mira, what about you? There was a delay. Then Mira's translator device spoke. Swamp, the air is thick. Hard to move. My suit is compensating, but the power drain is significant. Okay, Talon said. Control uploaded the map to our devices before we lost contact. The rendezvous point is 12 kilometers north of my position. I'm moving there now. Everyone head there. And stay alive, the communication cut out. Jinho pulled out his map device. It showed his position as a red dot and the rendezvous point as a blue one. Between them was 18 kilometers of hostile terrain. He checked his supplies. A knife sharp and simple, a water container empty, a fire starter, a small medical kit, a thermal blanket. That was everything he'd requested. He started walking. The volcanic ridge was treacherous. Rocks shifted under his feet. Cracks in the ground vented superheated steam. The heat was incredible but not impossible. Jinho had been in saunas hotter than this. He'd worked through Korean summers where old people died from the heat. He kept moving, breathing through his nose, keeping his pace steady. He found water an hour later. A small spring bubbled up from between rocks, surprisingly cool. Jinho tested it carefully. No strange smell, no visible contamination. He risked a small sip. The taste was mineral-heavy but not toxic. He filled his container. By the time the sun set, he'd covered half the distance. The temperature dropped rapidly. Within minutes, it went from oven-hot to painfully cold. Jinho found shelter in a cave opening and used his fire starter to ignite some dried plant matter he'd collected. The flames pushed back the darkness. He reached the rendezvous point just after dawn. Talon and Mira were already there, huddled together looking exhausted. Talon's feathers were ruffled and dirty. Mira's suit had several patches where she'd made emergency repairs. They both looked up as Jinho approached. You made it, Talon said. He sounded genuinely surprised. Yes, Jinho said simply. How? Mira's translator bubbled. You landed in the volcanic zone. Survival probability was calculated at less than 20%. Jinho set down his pack. I walked. That's not an answer, Talon snapped, but there was less hostility in his voice than before. He looked shaken. Jinho started unpacking. From his supply bag, he pulled out several items the others hadn't seen before. Plant fibers twisted into cordage. A container made from hollowed volcanic rock, filled with water. Several pieces of flat stone, sharp on one edge. Where did you get those? Talon asked. Made them. You made tools? While crossing a volcanic wasteland. I needed them, Jinho said. He started arranging rocks in a circle. We need shelter. A fire, food if possible. Water is the priority. Mira's color shifted to something that might have been confusion. You have a plan? Always, Jinho said. He struck his fire starter and began building a fire with plant material he'd gathered. The temperature will drop again tonight. We need heat. This location is exposed. There's a rock formation 300 meters west that will give us cover from wind and predators. Predators. Talon's head snapped up. You've seen predators? Tracks, large ones. Something hunts here. Jinho finished with the fire and stood. We should move before dark. For the first time since they'd landed, Talon had nothing to say. He just nodded. They moved to the rock formation. Jinho was right. It was better. 3 large boulders leaned against each other, creating a space underneath that was protected on 3 sides. Jinho immediately began improving it, stacking smaller rocks to close gaps, creating a fire pit at the entrance. You've done this before, Mira observed. Yes. Where? Home. Talon watched Jinho work with growing interest. I thought Earth was a safe world. Class 3 or 4, right? Stable climate, no major predators? Jinho didn't look up from his work. Is that what they told you? That's what's in the Galactic database. Databases can be wrong. Jinho tested the stability of his rock wall. Satisfied, he started gathering more wood for the fire. Help me collect fuel. Stay within sight of camp. They worked until nightfall. By the time darkness came, they had a proper shelter with a fire burning at the entrance. Jinho had even found some local plant life that his scanner confirmed was edible. It tasted terrible, but it provided nutrition. As they ate, Talon finally asked the question that had been bothering him. "You're not scared at all, are you?" Jinho chewed slowly before answering. "Fear is useful. It keeps you alert. But panic is deadly. So I don't panic. That's not what I mean," Talon pressed. "Everyone else on this planet is terrified. Even me, and I'm from a warrior species. But you act like this is normal." Jinho looked at him across the fire. In the flickering light, his face was unreadable. "This is normal. For me." Before Talon could ask more, a sound cut through the night. It started low, a rumbling growl that made the ground vibrate. Then it rose into a shriek that hurt their ears. What was that? Mira's color went pale. Jinho stood, moving to the entrance of their shelter. He peered into the darkness. "Something big." The sound came again, closer this time. Then they saw it. The creature was massive. It walked on 4 legs, each ending in claws as long as Jinho's arm. Its body was covered in armored plates that gleamed in the firelight. Its head was all teeth and burning eyes. It was at least 6 meters long and 3 meters tall at the shoulder. It had smelled them. Now it was coming to investigate. Talon grabbed a weapon from his pack, a plasma cutter meant for emergencies. His hand shook as he powered it on. Mira pressed herself against the back wall of the shelter, her translator device making distressed bubbling sounds. The creature approached the fire. It paused at the edge of the light, studying them. Its eyes locked onto Jinho, who stood calmly at the entrance. For a long moment, nothing happened. Human and beast stared at each other. Then Jinho did something that made no sense. He picked up a burning branch from the fire and threw it directly at the creature's face. The beast roared and jerked back. Jinho immediately grabbed another branch and threw it, then another. He wasn't trying to hurt it. He was hurting it. The creature backed away from the projectiles, confused and angry. It moved exactly where Jinho wanted it to go, stepping back toward a specific section of ground. "Jinho, what are you doing?" Talon shouted. Jinho didn't answer. He threw one more branch. The ground beneath the creature collapsed. It was one of the geothermal vents Jinho had marked earlier, covered by a thin crust of cooled rock. The creature fell through directly into a pit of superheated steam and volcanic gases. Its screams were terrible. They lasted only seconds. Then there was silence. Jinho turned back to his teammates. His expression hadn't changed. "We should take turns keeping watch. I'll take first shift. Get some sleep." Talon and Mira stared at him. They didn't sleep for a long time. On the 7th day, everything changed. They were making good progress toward the extraction point. Another 3 days and they would be done. Jinho was teaching Talon how to set simple traps when his communication device crackled to life. "Help. Anyone, please. This is Team 7 requesting emergency assistance." The voice was panicked and broken by static. But Jinho recognized it immediately. "Hana," he grabbed the device. "Hana, this is Jinho. What's your status?" "Jinho." Relief flooded her voice. "Thank God, we're in trouble. Big trouble. We're pinned down by some kind of pack hunters. There are at least a dozen of them. 2 of my teammates are injured. We can't move. We can't fight them off much longer. What's your location?" 40 kilometers southwest of the extraction point. "But Jinho, don't try to reach us. It's too dangerous. These things are—" Her voice cut off into static, then came back. "Everywhere. We just needed someone to know, in case we don't make it." "Send me your exact coordinates," Jinho said. "What? No, you can't coordinates now." There was a pause, then data appeared on his device. Jinho studied the map. 40 kilometers. Through rough terrain, and they'd have to do it fast. He looked up to find Talon and Mira watching him. "No," Talon said immediately. "I know what you're thinking. The answer is no." "I didn't ask yet," Jinho said. "You don't have to. You want to go help them." Talon's feathers were ruffled with agitation. "It's suicide. We barely survived getting to the rendezvous point. Now you want to march 40 kilometers into unknown territory to fight a pack of predators? We'll die." "Maybe," Jinho said. He was already checking his supplies. "I'm going anyway. That's insane. She's my friend." Jinho looked at Talon. His face was calm, but his eyes were hard. "I don't leave friends behind. That's not who I am." Mira's translator bubbled softly. The extraction point is in the opposite direction. If we go to help them, we risk failing the mission. We could all die. I know, Jinho said. I'm not asking you to come. You two can head to the extraction point. I'll go alone. He started walking. He made it maybe 10 steps before he heard footsteps behind him. You're an idiot, Talon said, coming up beside him. But you're our idiot. If we're going to die on this terrible planet, we might as well die doing something brave. Mira joined them. My people have a saying. Alone we are drops. Together we are an ocean. I will come. Jinho looked at them both. Something shifted in his expression. For the first time since landing, he smiled. A real smile. Thank you. Don't thank us yet, Talon muttered. We still have to get there. They moved fast. Jinho set a brutal pace, using every shortcut and safe path he'd learned over the past week. He read the terrain like a book, avoiding dangers that would have killed them, finding routes that shouldn't have existed. As they traveled, Talon asked, Why do you do this? Risk everything for others? Jinho didn't slow down. Humans are pack animals. We survived because we worked together. One human alone can do very little, but humans together, we can do anything. Most species understand cooperation, Mira said, but this is different. You're risking certain survival for uncertain rescue. That's also human, Jinho said. We don't calculate odds like that. We just know. Friend in danger, go help. It's instinct. They traveled through the night. Jinho navigated by the stars, by the wind, by 100 tiny signs that told him where they were and where they needed to go. His grandfather had taught him this too during those long hunting trips. How to move in the dark, how to trust your senses. By dawn of the 8th day, they were close. Jinho could hear sounds in the distance. Growls and shrieks, the sounds of predators circling prey. He held up a hand and they all crouched low. Ahead, through a gap in the rocks, they could see Team 7. They were trapped on top of a large boulder formation. 3 students clustered together. Jinho could see Hana and 2 others he didn't recognize. One was clearly injured, leaning heavily on the others. The other looked exhausted. Around the boulder, the pack circled. The creatures were terrifying. Each was about the size of a large dog, but built low to the ground with 6 legs and a head that was mostly mouth. Their skin was armored with overlapping plates. They moved with horrible coordination like one organism with many bodies. 12 of them, Talon whispered. Maybe 13. We can't fight that many. We don't fight them, Jinho said. He was studying the area carefully. We make them fight each other. What? Jinho pointed to the east. See that territory marker? The scratches on that rock and the scent markings? There's another predator species that lives there, bigger, solitary hunters. So? Mira asked. So we're going to start a territorial dispute. Jinho was already moving, gathering materials. These pack hunters are in the other predator's territory. They know it, but they're desperate for food, so they're risking it. If we can make the territorial owner think the pack hunters are challenging it, they'll fight each other. Talon finished. That's brilliant. That's also completely insane. Probably, Jinho agreed. But it's our best chance. He explained the plan quickly. They would create a trail of signs and scents that would make it look like the pack hunters were deliberately invading the other predator's den. They'd use bioluminescent plants that certain species used for territory marking. They'd create sounds that mimicked challenge calls, and they'd do it all while staying hidden. It took 2 hours of careful, dangerous work. Jinho moved through the area like a ghost, leaving false signs, manipulating the environment. Talon and Mira followed his lead, learning as they went. Finally, Jinho made the call. It was a deep, resonant sound that carried across the rocks. It was the territorial challenge of the larger predator, perfectly mimicked. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ground shook. The creature that emerged from its den was massive. Easily 3 times the size of the pack hunters, it was built like a living tank. Its roar shook the air. The pack hunters turned as one. They saw the larger predator. They saw the territory markers. They understood the challenge. The battle was brutal and quick. The pack hunters swarmed the larger predator, but it was stronger. It crushed 2 of them immediately. The others scattered, regrouping, attacking again. The larger predator roared and charged, chasing them away from its territory. In the chaos, Jinho ran to the boulder where Team 7 was trapped. Jinho! Hana nearly fell climbing down. She grabbed him in a tight hug. You came. I can't believe you came. Of course I came, Jinho said. He looked at the others. Can you walk? The injured student nodded weakly. The other student, who looked like he might be from an insectoid species, just stared at Jinho. You just made two predator species fight each other. Yes. How did you know that would work? I didn't, Jinho admitted. But I've seen bears fight on Earth over territory. Most predators are very protective of their space. I gambled that would be true here too. That's insane, the student said. I get that a lot, Jinho said. He helped support the injured student. We need to move now, before they finish fighting, and remember we're here. They ran 6 people now instead of 3, 2 of them injured, with predators potentially following, and still a long way from the extraction point, but they ran together. Jinho led them through the safest paths, adjusting his route constantly to avoid dangers. When the injured student couldn't continue, Talon helped carry them. When they needed water, Jinho found it. When they needed to rest, he found safe places. They moved as a unit, a pack. And slowly, kilometer by kilometer, they made their way to safety. On the morning of the 10th day, exhausted and battered but alive, all 6 of them reached the extraction point. Other teams were already there. They stared as Jinho's group emerged from the wilderness. One team was missing members. Another looked like they'd barely survived. But Jinho's group was intact. All of them alive. Hana leaned against him, too tired to stand on her own. You saved us. We saved each other, Jinho corrected quietly. Where did you learn all of that? She asked. The tracking, the tricks with the predators, all of it? Jinho looked up at the rust-colored sky of Carvex Prime. He thought about his grandfather's farm. He thought about Earth, home, he said simply. 3 days had passed since they landed on Carvex Prime. In that time, everything had changed. Jinho was now the leader of their small group. Nobody had said it out loud, but it was obvious. Talon no longer argued with his suggestions. Mira followed his instructions without question. They had learned quickly that Jinho knew what he was doing. On the morning of the 4th day, Jinho taught them how to find water. He pointed to certain plants that only grew near underground springs. He showed them how to dig in specific types of soil. He explained how to tell if water was safe by looking at what insects lived near it. How do you know all this? Mira asked through her translator. Jinho knelt by a small stream, testing the water. My grandfather taught me. He lived in the mountains his whole life. He taught me which plants were safe, how to track animals, how to survive when you had nothing. Your grandfather was a survival instructor? Talon asked. No, he was a farmer. Jinho filled their water containers. But on Earth, farmers need to know these things. The weather can change in hours. Storms can destroy everything. Animals can be dangerous. You learn or you don't survive. Talon exchanged a glance with Mira. They were starting to realize that maybe Earth wasn't as safe as the databases claimed. That afternoon, Jinho showed them which plants they could eat. Most of the vegetation on Carvex Prime was toxic to galactic species, but Jinho had a system. He would take a tiny amount of plant, rub it on his skin, and wait. If there was no reaction, he'd taste a small piece. If that caused no problems, he'd try a larger amount. That's incredibly dangerous, Mira said. You could poison yourself. Maybe, Jinho agreed. But starving is definitely dangerous. This way we know what's safe. He found 3 types of plants they could eat. One tasted like bitter soap. Another was crunchy and bland. The third was actually pleasant with a nutty flavor. It wasn't much, but it kept them fed. You tested these on yourself first, Talon observed. Why? Your biology is different from mine. If something is toxic, better that I find out. Jinho packed some of the nutty plants into his bag. Human digestive systems are very adaptable. We evolved eating thousands of different things, including some that were slightly poisonous. Our bodies learned to handle it. Slightly poisonous? Mira's color shifted to confused green. Your species ate poison? Still do. Many Earth foods are technically toxic, just not enough to kill us. Our livers are very good at filtering out bad things. Jinho stood and brushed off his hands. We should move. I found tracks near the water source. Something big comes there to drink. They moved camp every day now. Jinho insisted on it. Staying in one place too long attracted predators. It also made you predictable. Jinho had learned these lessons from his grandfather during their hunting trips. He remembered one winter when they tracked a wild boar for 3 days. His grandfather had been patient. teaching him how to read signs, how to move quietly, how to think like the animal he was tracking. When they finally caught it, his grandfather had said something Jinho never forgot. We're not the strongest animals. We're not the fastest. But we're the smartest and we don't give up. That's why we win. On the 5th day, the real storm came. They saw it building in the afternoon. The sky turned from rust red to sickly green. The wind picked up, carrying strange smells. Lightning began to arc between clouds in patterns that seemed almost alive. We need to find shelter, Jinho said immediately. Now, what's wrong? Talon asked. We've had storms before. Not like this. Jinho was already moving, his eyes scanning the landscape. The air pressure is dropping fast. This is going to be bad. He'd noticed a cave system 2 days ago while scouting. He'd made note of it just in case. Now he led them there at a near run. The wind was howling by the time they reached the cave entrance. The first drops of rain hit as they ducked inside. The liquid sizzled when it touched the ground. Acid, strong acid that ate through rock. How did you know? Mira asked, her voice shaking. Jinho was checking the cave, making sure it was stable. The insects. They all went underground an hour ago. Animals know when bad weather is coming. You just have to watch them. The storm raged outside. The rain came down in sheets, turning the landscape into a nightmare of dissolving rock and toxic fog. Any living thing caught outside would be dead in minutes. They went deeper into the cave to escape the spray. Jinho built a small fire for light. In the flickering glow, they saw something that made them all freeze. Bones. Lots of bones. They were scattered across the cave floor. Most were from local animals, but some were different. Larger, more complex. Talon moved closer and his feathers went flat against his body in fear. These are from previous teams, he said quietly. Look, there's a piece of an environmental suit. And that's a standard issue supply pack. Mira's color went pale white. They died here. They survived the landing, Jinho said, examining the remains. They made it several days at least. But something went wrong. We're going to die here too, Talon said. His voice was hollow. This planet is impossible. We've been lucky, but luck runs out. We're going to end up like them. Jinho looked at him. No, we're not. How can you say that? Talon's voice rose. Look around. This is a death world. It's called that for a reason. The only reason we're still alive is because you somehow know how to survive. But even you can't keep this up forever. Eventually, something will kill us. Maybe, Jinho said. But not today. How do you know? Because I decided we're going to live. Jinho's voice was calm, but there was steel in it. That's what survival is. You decide you're going to live, and then you do everything necessary to make that happen. You don't give up. Ever. That's not how reality works, Talon said bitterly. It's how humans work. Jinho fed more fuel to the fire. Do you know what makes humans special? It's not strength or speed or armor. It's that we refuse to accept death. We've survived ice ages, plagues, predators, natural disasters. We've survived things that should have killed us 1,000 times over. We did it by being stubborn. He looked at both of them. This planet is dangerous, but Earth made this look easy. Earth has storms that can level cities, animals that hunt us, diseases that kill millions, plants that can poison you with a touch, insects that spread death, and humans survived all of it. You know how? Neither of them answered. By adapting, by learning, by helping each other, and by refusing to quit. Jinho poked the fire. So no, we're not going to die here. We're going to finish this mission and go home. The certainty in his voice was almost frightening. He didn't sound like he was hoping they'd survive. He sounded like he knew it as a fact. Outside, the storm continued to rage. Inside the cave, the three of them sat in silence. After a while, Mira spoke. Tell us about Earth, the real Earth. Jinho was quiet for a moment. Then he began to talk. He told them about mosquitoes. Insects so small you could barely see them that killed millions of humans every year with diseases. He told them about winter storms that could freeze you solid in minutes. He told them about volcanoes that could bury entire cities. He told them about earthquakes that split the ground open. He told them about hurricanes, tornadoes, tsunamis. He told them about bears big enough to tear a human apart with one swipe. About sharks that could bite a person in half. About snakes whose venom would kill in seconds. About spiders, scorpions, jellyfish, and 100 other creatures that humans had learned to live alongside. He told them about bacteria and viruses, invisible killers that humans couldn't even see. About parasites that burrowed into your body. About fungi that could take over your brain. And humans survived all of that? Talon asked, his voice quiet. Not just survived. Thrived. We became the dominant species on the planet. Jinho smiled slightly. Earth tried everything to kill us. We just wouldn't die. Why didn't your people warn the galaxy? Mira asked. Why do the databases say Earth is a safe world? Politics, probably, Jinho said. The Galactic Council didn't want to scare everyone. They already treat humans like we're fragile because we don't have claws or armor. If they knew where we really came from, they might not have let us join. You're from a Class 10 death world, Talon said slowly, understanding dawning. Carvex Prime is 9.2. Earth is worse than this. Yes, Talon laughed. It was a slightly hysterical sound. We've been worried about the human. The human who comes from a worse planet than the one we're trying to survive. That's insane. That's humanity, Jinho said. The storm lasted 18 hours. When it finally cleared, the landscape had changed. New cracks had opened in the ground. Some rock formations had dissolved completely, but the three of them emerged from the cave alive. They had 5 more days to go. The extraction ship arrived exactly on schedule. It descended through Carvex Prime's atmosphere like a silver knife, landing smoothly at the designated point. The rear doors opened and Instructor Veltara stepped out, her 6 arms crossed in a posture of assessment. She looked at the assembled teams. 40 students had been sent to Carvex Prime. 31 stood before her now. 9 were gone, either dead or evacuated early after using their emergency beacons, but 1 team stood out. Team 14, all 3 members alive, uninjured beyond minor scrapes and bruises. And with them were 3 additional students from Team 7, alive when all reports had suggested they should be dead. Veltara's eyes fixed on Jinho. Remarkable. Instructor, Jinho said with a small nod. We monitored your progress with observation drones. Standard procedure. Veltara walked closer, studying him. I have been teaching this course for 20 years. I have never seen anything like what you did. I just tried to survive, Jinho said quietly. You did far more than that. She turned to address all the students. Return to the ship. Medical evaluation first, then debriefing. You have all passed the practicum simply by surviving, but some of you exceeded expectations. As they boarded, the other teams whispered and stared at Jinho. He ignored them, helping Hana up the ramp. She still looked exhausted. The medical bay cleared most of them quickly. Cuts, bruises, dehydration, fatigue. Nothing serious. Jinho was checked last. The medical technician, a being made mostly of energy fields, made confused sounds as she examined him. Your toxin levels are elevated, she said. You've been exposed to at least 6 different poisons. Any of these should have killed you, or at least made you seriously ill. I feel fine, Jinho said. That's the confusing part. Your body has already metabolized most of them. Your liver and kidney function are working at levels I've never seen before. She made more notes. I'll need to file a report about human biology. This is fascinating. When Jinho emerged from medical, Talon and Mira were waiting. Talon stepped forward and did something surprising. He lowered his head, a gesture of deep respect in his culture. I was wrong about you, Talon said. About humans. I judged based on appearances. That was foolish. It's okay, Jinho said. It's not okay. I could have gotten us all killed with my attitude. Talon looked up. But you didn't let that happen. You saved us. Thank you. Mira's color shifted to a warm gold. I will tell my people about this. About you. Humans should not be underestimated. The debriefing happened in the main conference room. Veltara stood at the front with several other instructors. One by one, teams gave reports of their experiences. Most were stories of narrow escapes and desperate survival. Many were stories of loss and failure. Then it was Team 14's turn. Talon stood first. I request permission to speak on behalf of our team. Granted, Veltara said. Talon took a breath. When we were assigned, I was angry. I thought we would fail because we had a human on our team. I believed humans were weak. I was completely wrong, he gestured to Jinho. This human saved our lives. Multiple times. He knew things we didn't. He saw dangers before they appeared. He understood the environment in ways we couldn't. Without him, Mira and I would be dead. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. Mira stood next. I calculated our survival probability on day 1. It was 32%. By day 3, after following Jinho's guidance, I recalculated. It jumped to 87%. He changed our fate through knowledge and skill. Veltara turned to Jinho. Do you wish to add anything? Jinho stood slowly. He was not comfortable with attention. I just did what I was taught. Elaborate, Veltara commanded. Jinho was quiet for a moment, gathering his thoughts. Everyone kept asking me how I survived. But that's the wrong question. You should ask, how did humans survive Earth? The room was silent. Earth is rated as a Class 10 death world, Jinho continued. It has weather that can destroy cities, animals that hunt us, diseases we can't see, plants that poison us. It has earthquakes, volcanoes, hurricanes, tornadoes, tsunamis. It has extreme cold and extreme heat. It has thousands of ways to kill us, he looked around the room. Humans survived there for 300,000 years. We didn't survive because we were strong or fast or had armor or weapons. We survived because we adapted. We learned. We helped each other, and we refused to give up. Carvex Prime is dangerous, Jinho said. But compared to Earth, it's similar. Not easier, not harder, just similar. So I treated it the way my ancestors treated Earth. I watched for dangers. I learned what was safe and what wasn't. I planned ahead. I stayed calm. And when my friends needed help, I went to help them. That's what humans do. He sat down. The silence in the room lasted several seconds. Then one student started clapping. Then another, then more. Soon the entire room was applauding. Jinho looked uncomfortable with the attention. He just wanted to go home. After the debriefing, Veltara pulled him aside. I need to speak with you privately. They went to her office. It was filled with artifacts from dozens of worlds, trophies from a long career of teaching and exploration. The Galactic military wants to recruit you, she said without preamble. So does the Explorers Guild, and I've had 3 different corporations offer substantial sums for your knowledge. I'm not interested, Jinho said. I thought you'd say that. Veltara poured 2 drinks, offering him one. But you should know what this means. The entire galaxy has been watching. Footage from the observation drones is being shared on every network. You're becoming famous. Jinho looked uncomfortable. I don't want to be famous. Too late. She smiled, a strange expression on her alien face. You've changed how the galaxy views humanity. Before you were seen as the newest species, the weakest. Now you're the species from the death world. The survivors. The ones who don't quit. Is that good? Jinho asked. Time will tell. But I think yes. She sipped her drink. The Council has decided to reclassify Earth's danger rating in the public database. Within a month, everyone will know the truth. Earth is a Class 10 death world. You come from one of the most dangerous planets ever discovered. Jinho nodded slowly. What will that mean for other humans? Respect, fear, opportunity, maybe all 3. Veltara studied him. But I'm curious about something. You said you don't want fame or fortune. What do you want? Jinho thought about it. He thought about his grandfather's farm, the quiet mountains, the simple life. I just want to go home, he said. 3 weeks later, Jinho stood in the Academy's observation deck. He was watching Earth rotate slowly below. From space, it looked peaceful, beautiful, blue and green and white. He knew better. Down there were hurricanes and blizzards. Down there were predators and diseases. Down there was death in 1,000 forms, but down there was also home. Jinho? He turned. Hana stood behind him, smiling. I've been looking for you, she said. You missed the graduation ceremony. I'm not good at ceremonies, Jinho said. I noticed. She came to stand beside him. Everyone's talking about you. You're basically a legend now. The human from the death world, they're calling you. Jinho made a face. I hate that name. You'll get used to it. She bumped his shoulder gently. Are you really going back to Earth? Not taking any of those job offers? Yes, I'm going home. Why? You could do anything now. Go anywhere. Everyone wants to learn from you. Jinho looked at Earth. That's exactly why I need to leave. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a soldier. I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who learned how to survive because I grew up in a hard place. That's what makes you special, Hana said quietly. Maybe, but being special is exhausting. He smiled slightly. I miss the quiet. I miss being invisible, Hana laughed. You're never going to be invisible again. You're the guy who survived Carvex Prime like it was easy. The guy who saved 2 teams. The guy who made predators fight each other with nothing but knowledge and guts. It wasn't easy, Jinho corrected. It was necessary. They stood in silence for a while, watching Earth turn. Can I tell you something? Hana asked. About why I liked you even before all this. Okay. You were always quiet in school. You didn't show off. You didn't try to be the center of attention. But I noticed something. Whenever someone needed help, you'd help them. No questions asked. When that exchange student got lost on the way to class, you found him. When another student was being bullied, you stepped in. Quietly. Without making it a big thing. She looked at him. You've always been a protector, Jinho. The survival skills are impressive, but that's just tools. What makes you special is that you use those tools to help others. Jinho didn't know what to say to that. The galaxy is learning about humans now, Hana continued. They're learning we come from a death world. They're learning we're survivors. But you showed them something else too. You showed them that humans don't just survive for ourselves. We survive together. We protect our pack. Is that unusual? Jinho asked. Very. Most species, when things get dangerous, it's every individual for themselves. But you risked everything to save my team. You shared food and water with Talon and Mira, even when supplies were limited. You taught them how to survive instead of just saving yourself. She smiled. That's what makes humans special. Not that we survive, but that we help others survive too. Down below, Earth continued to turn. Somewhere down there, Jinho's grandfather was probably tending his farm, completely unaware that